Hello everyone, welcome back to another Project Gladiator weather forecast. Today I'm going to be covering the weather for October 20th of 2023, and currently we have a marginal threat for South Carolina into parts of southern North Carolina and eastern parts of Georgia. As for our threats for today, we don't really have all that much of a tornado threat, but we do have a 5% wind threat and we have a 5% hail threat. If we take a look at our WPC outlook real quick, you can see that we don't really have a threat for flash flooding really anywhere in the United States as of right now. However, sorry, I was on day 4, but for day 1, you can see we still don't have a threat for flash flooding anywhere in the United States. If we take a look at our winter outlook, you can see we aren't really expected to see snow anywhere in the United States as of today. If we take a look at our surface front analysis real quickly, you can see that cold front continuing to push eastward. It is extended all the way from the eastern border of Ohio into parts of Tennessee, southern Tennessee, and the northern Dixie states. And as for the latest analysis here, you can see that cold front encroaching on the California, South Carolina, Georgia region, right in that marginal threat location. So that cold front should be the primary focus for severe weather for today. If we take a look at the tropics, you can see that we currently have Hurricane Tammy here out in the Caribbean. It isn't really expected to pose a threat to the central 48 states of the United States. However, it could pose a threat to some of the territories out in the Caribbean right here. Hurricane Tammy should definitely pose a threat to those, and you definitely want to make sure you're taking the necessary precautions if you live in any of the islands out in the Eastern Caribbean that are going to be affected by Hurricane Tammy. Again, definitely make sure you are staying weather alert, watching for updates, and again, staying weather alert, watching for updates, and make sure you take the necessary precautions for Hurricane Tammy as it passes through the region. However, after it does impact the Eastern Caribbean states, you can see it isn't really expected to pose a threat to the rest of the United States or the central 48 states of the United States. It's going to stay out to sea and go back eastward after impacting some of the islands in the Eastern Caribbean. Taking a look at our weather model, starting off with our composite reflectivity, I'm going to be focusing on the timing for our thunderstorms and where our thunderstorms should show up. As of right now, our storms are currently ongoing. As you can see, we do have a couple special weather statements out across North Carolina and South Carolina, and a severe thunderstorm warning for South Carolina. So our storms are currently ongoing. So as of right now, I think our storm should be already past Charlotte. If I think they should have already impacted Charlotte based on where the warnings currently are. And currently should be impacting Columbia. However, by the time I get this forecast out, they may not be impacting Columbia or Charlotte anymore. That's just something to take note of, that our storms are currently ongoing. Some of the next places that it should impact, it should continue its southeastern trek. After it gets out of Charlotte, you can see as it continues southeastward, it's going to weaken slowly. As you can see, it's getting much more disorganized in some of the later model scans. And you can see it should continue southeastward across South Carolina into North Carolina and eventually make its way to the coast around 9 p.m. In South Carolina, but still stay a little bit further inland in North Carolina around 9 p.m. But then as time goes on, those showers are really going to spread out across the eastern parts of North Carolina. They are going to weaken down a little bit more and really spread out and really become disorganized. Shouldn't really pose a marginal threat after 9 p.m. However, around 11 p.m., you're going to see those really disorganized storms and rain showers. And finally, in the morning, after 12 p.m. into 1 a.m. and 2 a.m., a couple rain showers should still linger out across eastern North Carolina. Sorry, with the majority of the storms being out in the Atlantic Ocean, eventually moving offshore somewhere in the morning, anywhere from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Those storms that are remaining across eastern North Carolina should move out into Atlantic Ocean. So after the after the main show is already on its downfall as of right now. The storms should begin to become disorganized here soon. Later in the evening, they should slowly become disorganized with some overnight showers across eastern North Carolina and the South Carolina coast. So that's definitely that's something you want to take note of if you live in the affected area and stay weather alert. Taking a look at our 500 millibars, as of right now, our trough is fairly strong. It's also fairly broad as well, with the western side of the trough stretching all the way back out into the Pacific Northwest and out into the Atlantic Ocean. So we definitely have a very broad area for mid-level flow, with a very strong belt of mid-level flow on the western side of that, which shouldn't really pose all that much of a threat later on, as our cold front is already raced significantly ahead from this. However, our 500 millibars are getting above 100 miles per hour further out west, but again, shouldn't really pose a threat to anywhere in the United States, as the majority of our moisture should be pushed eastward by the cold front. As of right now, our low pressure system is summer in this region. We are expected to see almost direct impacts from the low pressure system, where it does look like we are in the very bottom of the trough as of right now, and that should help aid in severe weather development with that cold front. We should also see some elongated photographs from this, with a little bit of aid from the Appalachian Mountains, leading to some slightly orographic elongated photographs, with the majority of the work being done by this trough. But we should also see the threat for damaging winds. We aren't really expected to see the threat for tornadoes across this region, despite the amount of directional shear that we could potentially gain from this trough. Again, we aren't expected to see the threat for tornadoes because of the lack of ample instability to support them. Our instability is going to be significantly on the weaker side, and I'll show you that on our instability models. Taking a look at our dew points, you can see along that cold front there, we do have quite a bit of moisture. We are expected to see dew points that could be ranging anywhere from the mid and low 50s up to the low and mid 60s. Overall, this is definitely more on the moderate side. However, this should definitely give us ample instability to support the threat for severe weather, and the threat of damaging winds, and the threat of some small hail in some regions. But overall, we shouldn't really see the threat of tornadoes. Again, as I was saying, we aren't really expected to see a really strong instability, or either moderate instability. Either we are expected to see instability that's going to be definitely more so on the weaker side, with Cape values are going to be primarily staying in the upper triple digits. Taking a look at our temperatures, focusing on the marginal threat location first, I kind of just want to take a look at our cold front really quickly and its progression over the next couple of hours. As you can see, our cold front is a little bit behind, but it is still triggering our severe thunderstorms. Our cold front is going to be somewhere back across the western side of the marginal threat and continue to progress eastward. However, it is going to be triggering those severe thunderstorms out across North Carolina and South Carolina, and then after today should push out into the Atlantic Ocean, with the central low pressure system and a little bit of the cold front lingering back across the New England region, which is going to lead to overall a low threat for severe thunderstorms and more of a TSTM threat, where we could see some general thunderstorms and some rain showers with that low pressure system. But overall, we shouldn't really see the threat for severe thunderstorms tomorrow across the New England region. But then if we take a look at the majority of the United States and our widespread temperatures, you can see after that cold front passed through, our temperatures kind of stayed solid out across the central plains, with temperatures that are going to be staying in those 90s, very well above average. These are very high temperatures for this time of year. That's because of the anomalously high temperatures out in the Gulf of Mexico. We've had record high temperatures out in the Gulf of Mexico, and that is going to be leading to a very, very strong pull out of the Gulf of Mexico and tons of return flow to the Central Plains, which is going to be leading to much more heat across the Central Plains out of the Gulf of Mexico, supporting those temperatures that are going to be getting into the low 90s today, and possibly even tomorrow as well, until we get that cold front next week, which even again, that cold front shouldn't even clear out the entirety of the United States and should leave a little bit of heat and moisture out in the southern parts of the United States, allowing for the return flow to return moisture to the Central Plains much easier later on. So overall, our temperatures should stay pretty steady out across the Central Plains this week, as well as into parts of next week, despite this trough, or the cold front and the trough that we should see next week. It is going to definitely be significantly stronger compared to this cold front that we're seeing this week. That this cold front is considered weak sauce compared to what the models have been indicating for next week. So you definitely want to be watching out for that next week, as a lot of our heat should stay put across the vast majority of the Central Plains, especially the southern Central Plains across Texas into the southeastern United States, where that cold front's going to pass. Pretty much more so towards the north, not really clear out the southern parts of the United States, and again, that should lead to a little bit better return flow and help moisture and heat return to the Central Plains much easier after next week. But then you can see we are still seeing temperatures are going to be getting into 100 and above across some eastern parts of the United States. In southwestern Arizona and southern California, we are still expected to see temperatures that could be getting into 100 and above. So we are still definitely seeing way above average temperatures compared to what would be typical this time of year. And again, that's something that you want to be watching for. That's something you want to be watching for this week into next week as well. Taking a look at our instability, I'm going to be focusing on the marginal threat, and you can see we are expected to have fairly weak instability. When I looked at it earlier, our instability was a little bit more so weaker compared to what the models are now indicating now. Our instability is definitely definitely a little bit higher compared to what I was seeing earlier. So that must have been something new with the newest model run. However, I will be showing you our observed soundings later in the forecast, and our observed soundings show a completely different story. Our instability is much weaker compared to this on our observed soundings, and again, I will show you that on our observed soundings later in the forecast. But overall, models are indicating that we could see instability that is going to be getting into the upper triple digits, possibly getting into the very low 1000s in some locations. Overall, this is still fairly weak. It's a little bit higher than what I thought, but it is still definitely more so on the weaker side. Should still support the threat for damaging winds, and should still support the threat for small hail across the region with some of these storms, as well as the lack of a tornado threat because of the lack of ample instability to really support a tornado threat across this region. Taking a look at our observed soundings really quickly, I'm going to be taking a look at the Charlotte location really quickly, and you can see that we have quite a bit of uncertainty compared to the models and compared to the skew-T graphs, where we have very little instability on the skew-T graph, and a very weird looking hodograph that isn't really elongated, that would really show or support the threat for small to medium hail, really. And then if we take a look at the eastern coast of North Carolina, you can see a much longer hodograph that would be indicative of the threat of at least small hail, but still very weak instability, with instability in the most unstable levels that that is getting into the very low triple digits. Hardly anything to really support a severe thunderstorm threat for. And if you take a look at some of the in the Virginia region, I think this is at Roanoke, I'm not really sure. But you can see, again, very weak instability. And then for Atlantic, you can see a little bit more instability, and some curvature in the low levels of the hodograph, and that elongated hodograph, which would be indicative and supportive of a hail threat. But overall, we are definitely getting quite a bit of uncertainty compared to our observed soundings and our models. If I'm doing something wrong as of right now, if I'm taking a look at the wrong thing and I'm getting the observed soundings totally wrong, please fix that in the comments for me and point it out, so I can make a statement about it, as if I'm doing something wrong, I really want to know what I'm doing wrong. So if I am doing anything wrong and you notice it, please tell me so I can go off of that. But as of right now, we definitely have tons of uncertainty compared to our observed soundings and our models. Our models are indicating a little bit better instability, while our observed soundings are indicating less than ample instability. Not really a threat for tornadoes at all. Some photographs are elongated to support the threat of some small to medium hail, and overall, we should still see the threat for damaging winds. I'm not gonna jump the gun on this as of right now, despite the uncertainty between the observed soundings and the models. However, again, we should still see the threat for damaging winds. Hail, I'm not really sure about, but I think it's still possible. In tornadoes, we definitely shouldn't see a threat for anywhere across the marginal threat region. Now that I've told you the weather, please go down to the description and check out the socials for Project Gladiator. Join the Discord for the updates on Project Gladiator. And if you live in any of the areas that I covered for today, please stay weather alert for the time being. And again, if you have any idea what I might have been doing wrong on the observed soundings compared to our models, please tell me in the comments and hopefully I can fix it. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and hopefully I should be able to see you guys tomorrow with another forecast.